Welcome to Taking Healthy Back with Maria, with your host, Maria Malik, experience coach, conscience educator, and destination retreat host, presents to you countless ways to overcome an overwhelmed, overprocessed, and over-medicated lifestyle. She'll be covering everything wellness, from getting more from life than you put into it, destination retreats to healthy cooking, and conscious education. So please welcome the host of Taking Healthy Back with Maria.
Happy Friday, everybody. This is Taking Healthy Back with Maria. I'm your host, Maria Malik, and here we offer simple ways to feel better, more energized, and in control of your health while creating an intentional home and intentional life. Today, I have another great guest. We're going to have a conversation with Tim Salmonson, a best-selling author, visionary entrepreneur, and creative force who's leading a movement to build a healthier culture in business. I'm really excited about today because Tim's passion is transforming businesses, and it's very inspiring. And he's on a mission to help brands clarify their noble purpose. Welcome, Tim. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Maria. Nice to be here.
I'm reading your book, and we'll talk about it, Brand Evangelism. And I feel like you wrote the book for me. And everything you say, I'm an underliner and a note taker. And it's really great, especially for someone who doesn't know how to brand themselves. And I'm one of those. So thank you so much for your book. And I can't wait to jump into all the questions that I have for you.
Okay.
So,
I can't wait.
One of your big things is storytelling. And I wanted to know if a person doesn't have a story per se, how can they draw from personal experiences? And what are your personal experiences or challenges that's taught you the importance of aligning your work with a greater cause?
Sure. I think that every brand needs to think about, as a founder, which you are, their transformational journey, and that's the story of what brought you to where you are today, why you're doing what you're doing, your passion for the world. Hopefully, your passion for the world is tied to what it is that you do. I like Mark Twain's quote: "If you make your vocation your vacation, you never have to work a day in your life." So I believe that, if we're pursuing the unique way that God made us and taking our experiences, our aptitudes, the learnings that we had, our temperament, and boxing them all up and using them in a way that's honoring Him and then serving other people well, there is no way that you can fail in life. So for myself, the transformational journey, it started, I think, so I was a youth pastor many, many years ago, right out of college. And what I found in youth ministry was the short-term missions, the international part. I just love the experiences and getting away from what was familiar to me, to stretch myself. I just really enjoyed that. And so I gravitated toward that. Fast forward many years, in 2004, I started a nonprofit and travel the world, work with volunteers, helping make the world a better place. And about 10 years in, I realized I had done enough development work and connected with enough people that gave me feedback about, hey, it's all well and good that you're going into the world, that you're trying to make it a good place, but you're probably just putting Band-Aids on the social issues of these communities that you're trying to serve. So that began this process, I guess. And then one day I had this epiphany that, businesses have the financial capital and the human capital to fill in the gaps of society if they were to think about what their contribution was to the world and integrate that into their brand. So I pivoted. I, said, okay, I want to walk with businesses now to help every business realize that they truly are a social enterprise, whether they label themselves that or not. And my vision is to help every business become a social enterprise that alleviates suffering, elevates joy, and helps find profitable solutions to the problems of people and the planet. So, yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, it sure does. You talk about a noble purpose. I really like that. What does that mean to you? And why do you believe it's essential for today's businesses? I know you want to create joy and peace and health. What exactly is a noble purpose? And can every business stop focusing so much on profits, but embrace this noble purpose?
Yes, of course. So a noble purpose starts with being in service of someone else. So
Mhm.
often businesses feel like, hey, listen, it's all about the profit and loss statement.
Mhm.
So my job is to make sure that I have more profit than loss, and as long as I'm doing that, then I'm able to sustain myself. And the greater the profit, the better it is for me. But noble purpose begins to uh, realign the way that you think about how you show up in the world and how you serve people, because I believe that profit is truly a byproduct of how well we serve people. It's
Mm.
not something that we should be pursuing. It just comes as a result of solving people's problems, and the bigger the problems that we solve, the more that we can expect as a profitable return on helping people solve that problem. And listen, if they're happy with the results that you get them, then they're going to be happy to part with their money. So um, having it having you're in service of others, making sure that what you're doing is morally has ethical uh, base to it. You're not going outside of the boundaries, or the boundaries of what morals and ethics you can, because there are a lot of people who are well intentioned, who feel very strongly and passionate about something, but they're not thinking about, or they're less concerned about crossing the boundaries in order to accomplish the goals. And there are all kinds of examples of well-intentioned, well-meaning people who break the law in order to push their
Sure.
agenda or push their purpose. There's obviously there are God's guidelines, and I believe that they supersede those of the world, but we still need to be conscientious that we're not pushing the balance in that area. It needs to have a transformational element to it. So back to that transformation story, when it comes to building your brand, sharing your own transformational journey is an important part of attracting people, because they begin to see your values, who you are, and how you got where you
Mhm.
are. But the next step is helping people on their transformational journey, meaning you're you're able to position yourself as the authority, and have the experience and have the empathy of understanding the challenges, the struggles, the aspirations that your client has. And your your job is essentially empathizing with them, helping them know, I've heard you, I hear your pain, I see where you want to go, and I can help you get there, and casting the vision of getting people from where they are to where they want to be. That's the other portion of this transformation. So your noble purpose needs to have a transformation element to it. Um,
Right. Filling in the gap, right? In between where they are and where they want to be.
Exactly. And I think that all of our branding, all of our messaging should be around the transformational journey. People don't care about our products and service. All they care about are results. All they want to know is how you're going to help me overcome this challenge, this pain, this difficulty, or this help me become the person that I want to become, have the things that I want to have. So that's the thing that I tell everyone that I meet as a free giveaway. If you're going to nail your messaging, make two lists. One of the pain points that first of all, you have to know who your audience is. So if you don't
Mhm.
have that clear, make sure you get that clear. But once you have clarity about who your audience is and who you want to serve, now you need to make these two lists. One is the list of all the struggles and the pain and the difficulties and the challenges, and the other is a vision of what the future looks like and how that's going to make their lives easier, better, healthier, happier, more fulfilled, more rewarding, and how it is that you're going to help them get there. So that's
Yeah.
essentially what.
Do you find that that I've always struggled with this part of it, and I think I've cut a lot of corners to get to where I want to be, but in cutting those corners, I've missed a few things, and I think that perhaps with AI right now, that it's a little easier for some people like myself to find the person that I need to talk to. Um, However, I also think that there's so many tools out there, and where does one begin? And it sounds like if someone's starting a business, they should be talking to you right away.
Mm.
However, if they've been in business for a while, they still need to talk to you. So, how I don't know where to start with a beginning person or someone who's already in the throes of business. What would you prefer to work with?
It's always easier to work with, and I'm sure you'll agree, with people who has a certain amount of success. Half the battle is the mindset. So the three things, as you know, we both share the same mentor, the business
Yeah.
mentor, Myron Golden, and he would say that we need to have the right mindset, the right skill set, and the right tool set. And
Right.
um, having people who experience success helps helps in the process of knowing they have the right mindset, or they're moving in the right direction. If you're in a place where you don't have any success and you have an
Mhm.
idea, you want to help make the world a better place, you think that this idea is going to really make a huge difference in the lives of people, then you have to first have that first victory in order to know. You need to validate, substantiate whether this is really a true transformational idea that I have. And that's a challenge, but I would say, like I mentioned before, our job is to figure out what problem that we're solving in the world, who we're solving that problem for, and how they
Mhm.
can get it. Let them know how they can get the solution to this problem. That's what your website should say. They should be able to land and pass the grunt test, I like to call it. It's tells people right away who you are, what you do, and how it is that they can get what you have to offer. So often, it's that we use so much colorful language, and it goes over people's head, or they have to think really hard about what is
Mhm.
this person doing and what do they offer, and is this something that can help me. The faster we can get to what problem you solve for them,
Mhm.
the more likely they are going to take the next step. And so that's a part of the customer journey for us, is making sure they're clear about who we are. Do we share the same values?
Mhm.
uh, do we have the authority and the empathy? Do they believe that we can help them on this journey, what it is that actually that will help them with? And then the next step, it has to be easy. That's another thing I'm floored by, is how difficult people make it for people to access them. That's why I think it's important to find your audience on a specific channel, a social media channel. Like mine,
Mm-hmm.
I like LinkedIn, and I think YouTube's important. Um, so emphasizing and focusing on the people, serving the people within that community, and then giving them a clear onboarding process to connect with you on LinkedIn, and then quickly onto your website to help them to see what you do, who you've done it for, that type of thing.
I think in the world that we live in, there's a lot of people out there who make it seem like everybody could be a business person, everyone could be an entrepreneur. And it really, I don't believe that's true. I don't think we're all created to have businesses and, create necessarily a brand. We can help other people do it. But in specifically in reference to this show, Taking Healthy Back, in your book, you said the foundation of each of our well-being is found in the practices and disciplines that contribute to a healthy mind, body, and spirit. And I'm thinking that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a business.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, we can't be at our best if we continue to race through life with an energy deficit. And so that's not really helping anybody. And how do you feel that through helping people with their branding, that you are creating an overall culture of health and wellness? How do you feel that your business contributes to that?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, by de facto, there it's in the book. I'm I'm getting that message out there, and people understand that my values are not just I'm helping people build purpose-driven brands. And there's a whole ethos that comes with who Tim Salmonson is. My Christian
Mhm.
background and my faith and my values wrapped around that. Um, my values around health. The body is a temple of God. My values around being, mindful of how I'm learning, what I'm putting into my mind, what I'm putting into my body. Um,
Yes.
these are all, if you are someone who's trying to create change in the world, and I believe every entrepreneur wants to create some kind of positive change in the world, then you need to take care of yourself. And that's partly why I align with you. I connect, with this whole idea of making sure that you're taking your health back. You're being intentional about your health, because without a healthy mind, without a healthy body, without a healthy spirit, without healthy relationships, uh, the opposite. Those are the energy depleters, the suckers, the things that are taking the life out of you. And how can you serve the world? How can you make it a better place if you yourself are suffering with all kinds of physical ailments, or
Mhm.
mental, depression, and all the chaotic things that we struggle with mentally or emotionally, or just not connected in a community, having that, or spiritually, you're not connected to God. You don't have the foundation, the confidence of knowing that you are dearly loved and created by an amazing God who has great things in store for you. So having that connection uh, will change your entire perspective on how you see yourself and how you see the world and how you show up in the world. So that's why it's important to me.
Well, you're also saying here success is measured by the positive impact and influence we have, outcomes resulting from being intentional about making good choices and doing good things that alleviate suffering and elevate joy. I love that. And we're actually about to go into a commercial break. Yet when we come back, I want to talk about that intimate relationship with God that ultimately contributes to the success of our business and our life at hand. So we'll be right back. I think even a VA hospital, if you're a veteran, that they would have a program like this.
You would think, yeah, you would think, but it's not as simple to resolve as it sounds, because you have to have the volunteer personnel, you have to have the space, it's not just watching the dog, it's being able to take that dog to a veterinarian if it needs medical attention.
Mhm.
There's just so many components to it. And I know this because we put the program together, and we've been learning as we've gone, because there's no one we can call and go, hey, how did you handle this? So I mean, we've really learned a lot, and I understand why it's not as easy as it sounds.
So, what lessons have you learned that you can impart with our listeners?
I would say without a doubt, the big lesson that I've learned in all this is the importance of the people that you choose to allow to be around you. That has been absolutely my life. I know for whatever reason, I used to fancy myself as a great leader when I was growing up. I thought I was a leader amongst all the kids and all that stuff. But all I know is every time I hung around people that did drugs, I did drugs. And so I needed to understand that stepfather growing up, he'd always tell me, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are.
Hi there, welcome back. We're talking to Tim Salmonson, and we're talking about purpose over profits, letting your values work for you. And I wanted to ask you a question about teamwork. And because I've realized, being a lone wolf for many, many years, that you just can't do it all by yourself. And it's good to bounce ideas off of other people. And it's good to consult with your creator about building your business. What can you talk about teamwork and introspection and consulting God for a better business?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're a solopreneur, I am myself, like yourself. Teamwork is a different dynamic in our in our world, the solopreneur entrepreneur world, than it is with of larger businesses. I like to work with nonprofits, and they typically have hired team members, and they're larger, and when the difference between the two is we're we have to work a lot harder in developing relationships with people, because obviously there's not the incentive that we're bringing people on board, and we expect them to to do their job and to abide by our the guidelines of the organization, whereas with the solopreneur, we have to do the hard work of trying to, and this is why it's important to have that values first approach to building relationships. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it always gets awkward when you don't lead with your values, um, because you get into certain environments, let's say business environments, and things get a little, well, let's just say you're having a conversation with someone who doesn't share your values. And the quicker that you get to who you are, what you do, why you do it, the easier it is to find the things that connect you, and you'll quickly realize, okay, this is someone that I would love to be in partnership or develop a relationship with or support in some way. So that's why I say, and I remember being a youth pastor, and how often you'd be having conversation at the gym or whatever, and the guy starts talking about what he did on Saturday night and who he did it with, and I'm like, hey, listen, just heads up, you're probably not not in alignment with my
Mm-hmm.
values. So, I just want you to know I'm a youth pastor. So, um, being intentional about sharing your values will attract the kind of people that you want to attract. And I think that one of the things that, as I scroll through your Instagram feed, I woke up at 1 o'clock last night. I said, I need to get to know Maria a little bit more. And being authentic seems to be one of the highest values that you present to the world. And I
Wow,
would say that's
thank you.
enduring. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, start with that. Be yourself, be authentic, make sure that you're sharing your values, because as Seth Godin, if you don't know who that is, he's a
I do.
marketing guru genius. And he talks about, if you're starting, particularly if you're starting a business, make sure that you try to focus in on the smallest possible niche, so that you can
Mhm.
position yourself as an expert in that niche much more easily than saying, I'm a business coach. Well, holy smokes, that what kind of business coach?
Mhm.
um, so if you're starting out, share your values, focus on a small niche of people, a small group of people, serve them well, learn the language that speaks to them, and do a good job of solving their problems, and your niche will grow, guaranteed. It's like Facebook. I don't know if you know the story. Zuckerberg was a nerd. He wanted to date, and it was basically a dating app
Yeah.
within these Ivy League schools. I think just at Harvard first, and then they opened it up, and then it became what it is today. And that's just because it served people really well, and they liked what they were seeing, and the features grew, and it began to serve more and more and more people. So that's a great example of how to build a brand, starting with a very narrow target audience.
Well, and also, well, first of all, thank you for that compliment. That being authentic has always been, what I've wanted to come across. And because of my own limiting beliefs about myself, I felt like I haven't been authentic. So I didn't ask you to say that, and I really appreciate that input. And as far as the mindset and our values, I really appreciate that input, because I think I'm trying to think of how to word this properly, that our own limiting beliefs and our programming may have skewed our value system about ourselves and what we want to portray to the world and what we're actually portraying to the world. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
When I'm working with someone, the first thing I do work with is the mindset. Like you said, you can't be successful unless you're in the proper mindset and focus and vision and all that. So I really appreciate that confirmation on, before you do anything else, you got to work with the mind and the things that you believe about yourself, about the world, and whatnot. Um, do you have an example of a company that you've worked with that you took them from this place to the next place, transformation, just something to give us an example of how you help someone do that?
Sure. I think one of the biggest examples, it's funny, I grew up in northern Michigan, and there they have, in this little town that I'm from, Charlevoix, Michigan, a festival every year. And my parents own a photography studio in downtown Charlevoix, Michigan. It's been there 50 years. It's one of the oldest family businesses in town. And I would go out, because I grew up in the photography business, take pictures of the festival, and I would just give them to the festival, and found every year that they were using those images to promote the festival. And then they invited me in. They like, Tim, you're a marketing and branding guy. could you help us tell the story of the festival? And of course, like most festivals, they're promoting the bands that are showing up and the activities. And I said, what we need to do is focus on the participants. We need to make the people the hero of the story. And instead of pointing the camera at the band that's going to be there one year and not the next, turn the cameras towards the people and the joy, the connection time with their friends and their families. And in the course of 3 years, we grew this festival to the point where USAA said it was one of the top, I think, top 5 festivals in the country, especially, I think, specifically for the fireworks display. But I think it was from being able to tell a great story and turning. This is not an original thought of mine. This is actually comes from Donald Miller's story brand framework, where you, instead of making yourself, your product, your service, the hero of the story and the center of what you do, you make the transformation, the journey of your hero, the person that you're working with or the company that you're working with, the hero of the story, so that you're not trying to elevate yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're putting all the attention on the impact that's happening in the people you're serving, you're working with. So like Obi-Wan Kenobi, or any of the the movies where we have the mentor and the mentee, and how the mentee, like Morpheus and Neo in the Matrix, where Neo becomes a messiah figure as a result of having his eyes opened, taking the blue pill, and realizing that there's a whole nother world out here, and he grew to be a savior for humanity in his case. So that's basically what we want to do, is people, when other people see the transformation impact that you're making for the people you're working with, then they're going to say, I want that too. How do I get there? How do I do that? Be my Obi-Wan, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that every business can have a noble purpose?
absolutely, every business should have a noble purpose. And where the confusion happens is, you say noble purpose and people feel like that's the marketing department or the HR department or some other part of the business, where my contention is, it's the noble purpose that's the foundation. It needs to be integrated in all aspects of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Once people know, because your noble purpose reflects your values, it addresses the problem you solve in the world. And if the problem you solve is in service of other people, and it's transformational, and it's moral and ethical, and it has sustainability or eternity in mind, these are ways to make sure that you're building a healthy culture, because noble purpose always attracts good people that, I would say, like-minded people, right? So
Right.
it's that noble purpose that is the glue that holds the organization together. So it doesn't matter if you're a car dealer or you know uh, a major um, pharmaceutical company. What a noble purpose is not is a cause. It's not, I'm
Okay.
you know
Thank you for clarifying.
I like I like dogs, and so a part of my noble purpose, this is not true, but what I might do is say, I have a page on my website that says, by the way, I volunteer at the local shelter. Well, branding and marketing and dogs is there's a huge stretch.
Okay.
And often brands will adopt to say, well, we give money back to the community. I hear this all the time. We have a trust or a fund, and so, we have noble purpose because we're just giving back well, the problem
Okay.
with that is you're not giving back to people who share your values, who share a passion for some
Okay.
transformation in the world. So if you're Avon and your products are giving women breast cancer, and you say,
Mm,
hey, we're all about helping breast cancer research, that's a huge miss. You know,
yes.
you got to clean up your act. You got to make sure that what you're putting out in the world isn't the cause of this thing that you're trying to cover up. Cigarette
Right.
is another example.
Kind of like what's going on with the food industry.
Exactly.
Instead of necessarily nurturing us, it's creating sickness.
Yep.
So I'm glad you mentioned that noble purpose doesn't necessarily mean giving money to a particular cause. And
Mm-hmm.
that cause should really be in alignment what your noble purpose is.
Exactly.
So that was great. Thank you for that. We do have another break right now, and we'll be back and continue the conversation. See you in a
So
minute.
I think sometimes we do the things that we didn't have. So I didn't have that when I was setting my business. And I didn't have people telling me, hey, oh, this is the hole that you have. And here's some people that can help fill that hole. You don't have to do everything yourself. You don't have to. You
Right,
can,
right.
but we're not meant to
I
do it ourselves as business people either.
Okay, and that's a question that I have also. And I was raised to be a housewife, and I wasn't raised to have a career. And I don't know how many other women my age or, various ages were groomed in that way. And at this point in my life, I don't really want to start a career. Are there women in the group who are not business entrepreneur oriented that are a part of the group just to help them, I don't want to say find themselves, but really be okay with where they are and not pursuing these big dreams, because there's a big push out there for women to be these, hardcore, powerful women, empowered, which I want women to be empowered, but I don't believe everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. Are there women in the group who just want to be women or moms or just be okay with where they are and give themselves permission? Does that all make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I'm going to say this and just expand it a little because I feel like all of us need to be okay with where we are. Yeah. But we have some people that are in a different season, right? And so we have some people some people call it empty nesters or whatever, little titles that we have to it. Right. And that's a very special season that needs to be nurtured and understood. But what I say to people that tell me, well, and I had a couple of women, it was really beautiful conversation we had on our last retreat, as a matter of fact. And someone said, I'm in this stage, I've already had a business, I've done a business, I've sold my business, or I left the business, or I retired.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking to Tim Salmonson about purpose over profits. And Tim, tell us about your book. What kind of response have you been getting with it? And don't you have an offer regarding your book for our listeners? Sorry
Yeah.
about the background noise.
Yeah. No, it sounds like someone's knocking on the door. So
Sorry.
the book is um, was, was sort of a cathartic thing for me. I had a leadership coach who said one of the best things that I ever did was write a book, because you get your ideas out there, and I think you can attest to this. The book is not my genius. It is just the sort of the journey that I've been on the last 10 years, and I've been able to package it in one, I guess one thing that holds it together is what we call the covenant brand strategy. You have your consumer brands, that's the one and done transactional kind of brands. You have, and that's most brands, right? You go to the grocery store and they're not building a relationship with you. You got your bread, you got your milk and eggs, and here's the money, and they bag it up and you walk out. You have your club brands, what they offer incentives to be loyal to the brand. But once again, if you're not loyal, or you fall off the track and don't buy enough cups of coffee and get your gold stars, then hey, sorry, you're losing your points, and we're docking you. You're going down in the in your from premium down to silver star or whatever. And then you've got your cult brands, which require a whole lot of money and really smart people who build an ethos around their brand that people get crazy about them. They tattoo their logo on their body. They just can't say enough wonderful things about the brand. But then when the founder runs off and goes to South America and starts a cult, whatever, the people lose their sense of connection with the brand. And I would say we want to build a brand I call the covenant brand, which is a commitment to mutual success. So the whole book is built on this idea that we're committed to mutual success. It's got to be, like Stephen Covey says, win-win or no deal. And each of the chapters is based on the idea, or I guess the key, the 5 C's, which are being able to clarify your noble purpose, be able to communicate that noble purpose to the world, be able to connect with your ideal audience, make your contribution, creating value for that audience. So you're building trust and rapport with them. And then the call to action. That's the piece that a lot of people fail to extend to their audience is, hey, I want you to be a brand evangelist. You've gotten all this value. You believe in what we believe in. You've bought the product. You've shared it with others. I want you to continue to get the word out and talk about how we're making the world a better place. That's the premise of brand evangelism. So yeah, I mean, I just, and like I said, it's full of anecdotes and bullet points, and just lots of things that I've gleaned from other leaders, that you cannot pick the book up and go through and not find anything for you. There absolutely will be something. There is something for just about everyone if you share this kind of value system. If you believe that we're uniquely designed and have a purpose, that God has given us a purpose, as Myron likes to say, that we are to be in alignment with God's assignment. So if you have that kind of belief system, and you believe that we do need to think about our physical, emotional, spiritual health, and that's an important part of showing up in the world, this book will be awesome for you. If you're just trying to figure out how to build a brand and make lots of money, may not resonate quite as much. So.
Well, yeah. And I've said for years that if you can't get out of bed in the morning, then you can't live your purpose. What do you think for a person who's not of this mindset, but would love to be of this mindset, how they get in alignment? What's the first thing that you would suggest to foster a healthy relationship with God, to even have an inkling of an idea of what your purpose? I hear a lot of people like, I don't know what my purpose is. How do I find my purpose? How would you address that?
So if you haven't heard, on Thursday, Myron talked specifically about this. His most recent podcast. his Bible study, he talked about finding your purpose is it starts with laying down ourselves, meaning if we are so consumed with ourselves and our purpose, that's the thing that will get in the way of us actually experiencing life in its fullness and God's intention for our lives, because we get so wrapped up in an identity. We want to we people who don't realize that God loves them, has a plan for them, has uniquely created and designed them for a greater purpose, tend to gravitate, and I write about this in the book, to things that they earn, or that they create for themselves. They align themselves with a symbol, whether it's a rainbow flag, whether it's a swastika, whether it's an American flag. You know,
Right.
they have this identity that's associated with a thing,
Right.
and they've missed the opportunity um, to to see there's so much more in this world, that as the Bible talks about us being a part of a body, and I love the idea of an orchestra, because that's just another way of, we all
Too.
have an instrument that we're playing, and there's a director who's got this masterpiece, this musical masterpiece, that we're all supposed to be playing our part to be able to create a moving experience for people. But if we're off playing our own thing, it's not going to contribute
Right.
to the overall impact. And I guess that's a big part of, I guess, my worldview, is that I have a small part to play in the world, and maybe not a small part. I have a big part. I have a part, and it doesn't matter to me whether it's small or big. What matters is that I'm faithful to do the things that God wants me to do in order to fulfill my role. And that starts, I guess, to answer your question, with realizing that, first of all, God has a plan for my life. I challenge people to do a purpose. There's a purpose challenge, 30 days. Once again, this is not original. I can't remember where I got this, but to journal every evening about the things that suck the life out of you and the things that energize you, and
Hmm.
begin to tie it together, to see what things energize me and why, and what things exhaust me,
Right.
and then you'll begin to get a greater sense: do people energize me or exhaust me? Well, that determines whether you're introvert or an extrovert. And there's a whole host of us who are ambiverts, who are a little bit of both. I'm probably a little more extroverted, but I still like my quiet time.
Sure. Me too.
Then you'll find I really resonate with facts and figures and numbers and order. You're probably left-brained. Or I'm creative and love to have options in the world, and to try new things and express myself. You're probably right-brained. So you'll begin to get a clearer picture of who God created you to be, and then move towards those things that energize you, and then ask yourself and ask God, what of these things energize me are going to help be in service of somebody else? How can
Right.
I do something that actually helps someone else in this world solve a problem, or get to a new place where they want to be? That's the foundation for entrepreneurship. So
Excellent.
yeah, that's
Love
what I.
it. Tim, thank you for that explanation. We have like 30 seconds left. Thank you for those who are watching, will watch. Get Tim's book, Brand Evangelism.
Got it.
It's really great. If you like this conversation, you're going to love this book. And Tim, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you on. And I know I'll be seeing you again real soon. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.
This has been Taking Healthy Back with your host, Maria. Tune in each week as Maria will empower you to put your wellness in your control. Right here, Fridays, noon Eastern, on the Bold Brave TV network.